2, 1. Yes, what's going on, people? This is Kojo Raps on TV, reporting live from London in the Quarantine Club. I'm joined by my host, my co-host Sam, and we've got how you doing, bro? We've got a famed guest, a heavyweight who's lit up the scene. Really had tremendous fights, and was due to have a tremendous fight at the back end of last year. Mr. Abner Mares, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you for having me on. Coronavirus situation, we're making the best of it, but thank you for having me on.
We're making the best of a bad situation, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You have to.
But like I said, thank you for taking some time out. I just really, I wanted to say, how are you coping? Like, you're based in LA? How is it out there at the moment with the current lockdown?
I think it's obviously I can't say the same as everyone because I think New York is a little bit more damaged in the sense that there's more cases out there, but it's practically the same. We're on lockdown. We can't really go out much. Staying home, trying to do activities at home with the kids.
Yeah.
Everything's just different. Adapting to every change every day, life situations. Everybody had a life prior to this. Myself boxing, my wife, she had a makeup store that she was running. Now it's closed. It was inside a mall. So we're making the best of it, making calls, making sure that the houses are taken care of, with the whole payment every month. There's because a lot of people are saying, just because we have money doesn't mean we have problems, but more money, more problems is how they say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I have a few what do you call it, properties that I have people living in, and obviously they can't pay right now, so we got to manage that too. So it's a lot of things, man, but rolling with the punches.
Yeah, no, definitely, and you're right. Everybody just has to deal with this situation as best they can and try and stay focused. I do. Before we touch on your boxing career, though, and I've just got to say this personally, I've really enjoyed watching you on the PBC on Fox show with Kate. Kate. I forgot her surname, but Kate and Sean. How did you get into that? I mean, it seems like you're able to interview fellow boxers and give your opinion quite articulately. But how did you get into that whole PBC on Fox show?
Yeah, it's Kate Abdul and Sean Porter.
Yeah.
I mean, great people. I learned a lot from Kate. Obviously, she is the pro at that. Sean and I, we actually we got the gig. We had there was a audition for that, and it wasn't just given to us. And the way it worked, I mean, it was an opportunity. I never saw myself doing that. I really never thought I was good at it until people like yourself and people started telling me like, hey, Abner, you got a career in this, you should keep doing it. So I just kept going with it, kept learning little by little, and it's amazing. It's amazing because you're working in an industry that that you practice. You get to interview fighters that you look up to also. And at the end of the day, we're all boxing fanatics. I'm not just an athlete that performs the sport. I'm actually a fan also. So it's a great feeling, and learning day by day.
Yeah, no, definitely.
What do you think is the hardest part of doing presenting and doing the show?
One thing that Sean hates is picking a winner. When big fights come, who you got, Abner. You got to pick one, and there is times I've gotten messages like people like, yo, really, you ain't going for me? You think I'm gonna lose? Like, man, that's just my personal opinion. Nothing against you, nothing personal. And now I get what you guys go through. That, and obviously making the audience understand what we're trying to transmit, what the message we're trying to send. It's not just always hating, or it's not something like I just mentioned, personal against a fighter. It's just our thinking at the moment. And it is, it's just that it's beautiful. Like I said, Boxing, it's a beautiful sport that not always you're always gonna get the right pick. Like, last fight I was going for Deontay Wilder. I thought he was gonna win, and and he lost against Tyson Fury. And that's, you gotta understand that it's boxing. It happens. It's not, nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah.
No, for sure, for sure. What is the kind of talk on your timeout? Because obviously you were due to set to fight Javante Tank Davis, but due
Yes.
to your injury, you had to pull out. First of all, are you better, and how are you feeling?
Yeah, man, that was a heartbreaker right there, man, because I was so ready for that fight. I was, no lie, I was really, really ready. I keep saying it. I didn't want to pull the plug. I wanted to continue to go with that fight despite my injury, because I knew I had the injury because I couldn't see that well from a certain angle. And I had to tell my wife. I told her, you know what, I can't see, and I'm just gonna go with it. I'm still fighting, and obviously, like you guys know the story, she told me not to, so I went to go see the doctor. And long story short, I got a surgery a year ago, February last year. Um, but I'm good. I'm good. I got the green light. I'm okay to come back. I wish I could get that fight right away, but obviously he's got his plans already. I believe he's fighting Leo Santa Cruz next. But hopefully I come back with a strong fight against a strong opponent, well named, and keep it going. Keep rolling, and get my timing back, and hopefully be back in those fights quick. Again, I would love to fight top 10, top ranked fighter on my next comeback fight. But we'll see what my manager has in store for me.
Yeah. No, that sounds good, and I think the key thing is to hear that you're feeling fit. But just going into that fight, obviously it was a damaged eye, but physically, how were
Yeah,
you feeling physically going into that fight? Obviously you want to be in the best shape as possible against a big hitter like Tank Davis. Just talk to us
right.
about your shape.
I was in top shape, bro. I mean, I was just talking to my father.
Mm.
Um, about 2 weeks ago. I think we are in the car, and I don't know where we're going. And he was asking me, he's like, oh no, he was telling me like, hey son, remember that sparring session you had, weeks before the injury? I'm like, yeah, dad. He's like, man, you were looking like a beast. Like, and for my dad, you guys didn't know my father, he's really strict. My dad, if you do okay in the gym, he'll be
Mm.
like, all right, it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
He doesn't give you like that,
That real
like
boost.
like yeah, bro, exactly. So for him to say that I was ready, like and actually I felt that I was ready. you know um I was not only physically but mentally ready.
Mhm.
But God works in mysterious ways. He only knows why that happened, and it was really unfortunate, but I was ready. I know everybody was doubting me on that one, and I don't blame him. Tank Davis is a young fighter. He is the deal right now. Everybody talking about his power, but I think my experience and my boxing abilities would have gave him problems, and most definitely won that fight. But
Yeah,
it's easy to say, but
yeah.
I'm just saying that I was really, really in good
You had
shape.
that belief. I mean, to be fair, let's be honest. No matter what, around that time with the fight, it began that prelude into a lot of, let's say, upsets.
Right.
So well, we know Abner Mares against Tank Davis could have easily been maybe not what the people were saying, but it could have
Right.
been an upset, right? Because it's what
I
you do.
mean, let's go back to his fight against Yorkis Gamboa. He,
Yes.
he he fought an older man than I am, in age. A guy that had a torn Achilles, I believe, during that fight.
Yeah.
He took most of his punches really well, and still was able to walk him down. In some parts of the fight,
Yeah.
despite that injury. So I mean, that lets you know. I'm sorry that Tank Davis is vulnerable too. He's young kid. He's a tank like they call him because he could walk you down too with his power. But that he does that only in the first period of the fight when he has that power and the energy.
Mm.
And I knew that going into that fight that he was that type of fighter because he doesn't get ready consciously. He thinks that power is everything. which is not. You got to get ready. You got to be physically ready, conditioning wise, and I think that's something that he's going to learn. Obviously, within time, he's still a young kid.
Yeah.
And but in my mind, that's what I had in store for him, to walk him down and obviously be the aggressor, and my experience, make the best.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. That's how you do things by walking down. And I was looking forward to obviously your comeback. But
Thank
the question I wanted to ask is, what's kind of changed prior to your injury? What kind of new um, training techniques and strength and conditioning are you taking into the fight going forward?
Well, one major thing, it's my coach. I don't know if you guys heard. I'm no longer with Robert Garcia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're with
I'm now with Manuel Robles, who was Andy Reese's old past trainer. And the reason of my separation with Robert, it has nothing to do with disputes or nothing personal. It was just it was something that I had to do because the driving distance. I was driving about an hour and a half to Riverside from my house. Is that long of a trip, and Manny Robles is only 20 minutes away from me. So
no
and he's
brainer.
a great coach. Yeah, and he's a great coach also. So I had to make that decision because I want to make most time the better time of my time right now, and that was it. And I think I started training with Manny maybe I'm gonna say like 3 or 4 weeks already, a whole month, and I feel great, bro. I've been feeling really good. And to answer your question directly, I think I'm not gonna train harder. I mean, people might take it. Like, I'm not training harder. I'm training smarter. Because
yeah,
of my age and the time that I've been out. So I can't go in there and right away be like, all right, give me the toughest kits and let's spar. I can't go in there super. I gotta take my time, which I am. I'm still being active as we speak here at home. I'm running. I got a gym bag in my garage. Coach between us, and I don't post much of it because I know I might get a lot of hate from it because people obviously with everything that's happening. But I have the coach come and I do one-on-one session with him,
Yeah.
because I have to stay ready. I have to be ready when all this is over, done with. I want to be one of those first fighters that in the front line and be like, hey, raise my hand. Hey, I'm ready. I don't need 3 more months. I'm ready. Put me in, coach. So I
And
want to be one of those. And I'm feeling great. Like I said, it's training smarter, not harder. And the experience is there.
yeah, and I mean, I was aware of you training now with Manny Rubles. And I guess when that first conversation or that first session started, did Manny say to you the kind of things he wants to see you doing more? Coaches always look at a fighter and think, I could bring
Right.
this to his game or bring this to his arsenal. Did he say to you, I want you to start working on this, Abner? At all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the first things he says, like, "Hey, Henry, you should have fought Leo like this." I'm like, "Oh man, stop!" I should have fought Leo many other different ways, but he's not trying to change my style. He's just trying to perfect little things, little mistakes that he still sees that I can perfect. Maybe even throwing my left hook. Things like that. More turning on the punches. And obviously being wise and knowing that I can't go in there and throw a million punches like I used to 2 years ago. I gotta take it little by little and
Yeah.
being picking my punches and knowing that every time I throw a punch it is with bad intentions and that is going to land. So
Mm,
basically, not waste much
yeah.
of punches like I used to before, which is I used to be a machine, just throwing bunches and punches. But
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah.
all action, all action. And I did want to say, I mean, obviously you're speaking about staying ready, working smart, not necessarily hard. But do you think to yourself, you know what? If I do get an opportunity this year, once
Mhm.
Corona ended, would you? How far do you think you would be from a title shot? I know there's a raft of champions, but do you think it would
Right.
be 2, 3, 4 fights before you could challenge again?
I would say I would know in that first fight coming back.
Yeah,
Whoever I end up coming back against, I think my body and my however I perform that night will let you know where I am.
Yeah.
And I think my experience and my name speaks for itself, and it's there. I think even this comeback fight, I could do a title fight, but
Mm.
I don't know if it's the right move. My heart tells me yes, but my people that I have around tell me obviously to take it slow. It has been 2 years, and get that timing back first.
Yeah.
But one guy that I really want to mention, and the reason for it is because I think he is a great talented fighter, and a lot of people don't. I just don't think that he's faced big names. I don't know for what reason,
Mhm.
but is Gary Russell. I like Gary Russell.
Ah.
He is a talented fighter, really good, but people don't give him the respect, and I understand why. He hasn't fought really anyone.
Mm.
And I don't know if it because they're scared of his style. I don't know if he's just because he fights once or twice every 2 years like me, despite him not being injured.
Yeah.
He always, he's a guy that's not really active.
Mm.
But that's a name that I would like to try. Even in my comeback fight,
Yeah.
we'll see
I
what
mean,
happens.
that's a great name. I think with Guy Russell, sometimes I think people look at the loss to Lomachenko without
Yes,
watching the fight as well, because it was a good fight
it
in my
was.
opinion.
Hmm.
I think they see the loss against Lomachenko and just think he's on the scrap heap. He's just a victim of Lomachenko. But you're right. I think Guy Russell brings a lot to the table.
He
That
does.
would be a tough first fight back, though.
Yes, yes. It
Yeah.
would. Another guy that I was thinking of, but he's leaning more towards another fight, which I understand. He's looking for a title fight in the
Mm.
new weight class, which is the 130 pounders, uh, super featherweights, against Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez. I think our styles are just perfect for a battle,
Yeah.
for a great performance for both of us. I think that's not a bad fight either. But again, I think he's leaning towards a title fight against Berchel. Berchel, I think that's his name.
Yeah. So I will ask you just on that in terms of the division. We've got two names for you. One's a champion, Josh
Okay.
Warrington. I've also got Kid Galahad. Can you give us your thoughts on those two guys as fighters, and what would be the possibility of getting a fight against either of them?
Those are two monsters, man. I've seen them. They're really strong, coming forward fighters. I've seen both of them, and again, those are great names. Also,
Mhm.
um, I think those are great names in your country. Here in America, obviously, people still might not know much about them,
Yeah.
because they don't have those big names against fighters. But it'll be great. It'll be tough fights. Again, I'm coming back at 130, and if there's a mega big fight at 135, I'll take the jump also. But I'm no
Wow.
longer going back to 126, which is
Yeah.
the featherweight division.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. So Sam, I'll let you take
Yeah,
next.
bro. Speaking of all these tough fights, what do you make of the tough fight that happened in February with Wilder versus Fury 2?
Oh man, I can't take, and we cannot take anything away from Tyson Fury. The first fight he showed tremendous boxing abilities. He really schooled Deontay Wilder, and the reason I always pick Deontay Wilder is because the man has so much heart, and he's got the power, and he can end the fight any given time because of that power. But that first fight, I was okay with the draw. It played out to be a better, second fight.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And you just gotta hand it to Tyson Fury again. He changed his whole game plan. He wasn't just boxing. He pushed the Deontay Wilder. He knocked him down. He basically, had the corner stop the fight, and that's all on a great performance and a great team and a great fighting plan that he had. Um, and again, I'm a big Deontay Wilder fanatic, and I was picking Deontay Wilder again because of his power, and I thought he was going to change a little bit. And we didn't get to see much of Deontay Wilder, to be honest, because the knockdown that happened in the third round. It was like the fight was barely starting. And I don't know how you guys felt, but I feel that he wasn't able to recover it after that knockdown in that third round. He got hit in the back of the head. I'm not gonna say it was intentionally. Obviously, it was his fault too because he kind of leaned down and it hit him back here. He was not able to recover from that punch, and Tyson Fury just took advantage of that and kept pushing him back. It was a great fight. I think we would have another great third fight. I know everybody's gonna go for Tyson Fury because of the first two fights, but I still believe and I still have faith that Wilder could change, learn, and possibly win against Tyson Fury on the trilogy.
Interesting.
Man, that's dope, man. That's dope. What do you make of what kind of adjustment do you think he needs to make? Because he's already gotten. I'm hearing rumors that he's changing up his camp and might even get the Mayweathers involved. So, what kind of changes?
Oh, really?
Besides the coach,
well, definitely don't make that move. Don't make that move. Don't go to Mayweather. That's not the style he needs. I heard rumors about George Foreman too, starting camp with him, which is not a bad idea. Maybe a whole month, a little bit more than that. Take advantage of this whole situation that's happening right now, and train with him. Learn as much as you can, and then go back to the old school. I think the old Deontay Wilder's can still do damage. Definitely, I don't advise a Deontay Wilder to be on his back foot. He cannot because that's his power punch. He's got to be ready with that right hand,
yeah,
and that's what Tyson Fury did. He took away his back foot. He took away his right hand, and was never able to. Deontay Wilder was never ever able to let it go because Tyson had him against the ropes all the time and on his back foot. So definitely the jab and being more aggressive and being wild as he was. I think that always gave Tyson Fury problems. The fact that Deontay Wilder was just a fighter that threw punches from every angle, different punches. Even if the hand was open like this, that gets you, I gets you really. You just can't see punches like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think going back to the wild and more aggressive Deontay Wilder could give Tyson Fury problems.
Yeah, no, that's some good points and interesting points there as well. I've know you spoke about the punches that you don't see. Boxers typically say it's the punches you don't see that do a lot of damage. And I know obviously he's a stable mate, so you'll be respectful with the comments. But I do want to get your thoughts on the response from Deontay Wilder. So obviously, sort of the morning after the fight, we had the costume, justification of reason. Recently, last week, he came out and said, he doesn't see Fury as the right champion, and he's kind of said that wasn't him. Do you think that's, if you was in his team, would you advise him to take this kind of a route, or would you just say, look, just admit the loss and work hard enough to come back for the third fight and put that right wrong or wrong right?
I would just tell him admit, take it like a champ, and you'll look better. You'll look more. You'll look more of a champion. Just taking it how it is. He lost against a great man. Let it be, and then look for that rematch. But Deontay Wilder seems like one of those fighters that just doesn't take advice from anyone. He does what he feels like. He does what he has in his mind. He speaks his mind basically, and that's how he's feeling. I totally understand him too. He was a great champion for many years, undefeated guy. He's got a lot of ego, obviously, a lot of pride, and I think that's it. I think he was looking for an excuse, obviously, after the fight. The fact that he said that it was the costume going in that costume the fight, I think that was a bogus excuse, without due respect. But it is what it is. That he's a big man, and we've seen him in videos training with the 40-50 pound vest. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's just. It's no excuse, and obviously now him saying that Tyson Fury is not worthy of a champion right now, and everything else that he said. And I think it's just got to understand that Deontay Wilder also knows how to sell the fight, and he is a guy that talks a lot, and all this hate him or love him is gonna make it for fans to yes hate him, but at the same time be not being able to wait to see the rematch. That's what Wilder, Mayweather used to do a lot. He used to get a lot of people to hate him. And I 10 people that were in my house watching the fight were all against Mayweather. They were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, can I wait for him to lose? You know, I'm here to watch him lose." You know, and that's what Deontay Wilder also. I think that he doesn't care if he has everybody against him, as long as he gets people watching and entertained.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will definitely advise him not to go that route. But everybody is different.
Yeah, and just a question. You mentioned when Sam mentioned Mayweather might be coming into the camp. You said don't take that advice, but we have seen Mayweather say he's going to return to boxing as in the form of a trainer or a coach.
Yes.
I mean, if not just for Wilder, do you think Mayweather could offer a lot to the young boxers coming through the game, or some of the season champions and vets like yourself, professionals like yourself?
I mean, I think time will tell. Not just because you were a great fighter means that you're going to turn out to be a great coach.
Mm,
It's definitely not the same thing. I think what he's doing right now is more based on emotion right now.
mm,
Obviously, what he was going through, or what he's going through. Obviously with the passing of Roger Mayweather.
yeah.
I feel like he feels somewhat of a responsibility, obviously, to take that torch and continue that legacy. Obviously, I don't know if you heard also about his daughter being involved in some
Yeah.
situation, and
Mm,
having more time for his kids. I think that was it opened up his heart, his mind to really just be more with his kids. I mean, we always see him on Instagram posting about trips here, trips there, the
mm,
luxury life, but not much with his kids.
mm,
I'm not saying that he doesn't. I'm sure he does,
yeah.
but I think this was definitely an eye opener for him, and that's what we see him a lot with this working with his kids right now. But
The
really
mother
to
of
get
his
into
children's
really
boss as well.
yeah, but really to get into your question, I think he can. He's a man, a powerful man, mentally man. That if
Mm,
you put something in his mind, he could do it. So if he's thinking about being the best coach out there, I think he can do it, because at the end of the day, everything's up here, and the guy's got it. If he determines to be one of the best at anything, he does it.
yeah. I mean, it's an interesting concept though, because when you think of the coaching game, we never
Yeah.
really think of any of them being the best ever. We just think we all know that they've got strong points. So you started working with Manny Rubles. He's got a great CV. He's worked not just with Andy Ruiz, even
Mhm.
Charles Martin in the past. He's worked with a whole
Yes.
range of fighters. So it's not always about how do you determine who's the best. Is it just working with somebody for 5 years and then they become a professional, or is it the consistent title defenses? I mean, it's a strange one to be the best coach ever, I think. But yeah.
Well, it only takes one fighter. Let's realize that it only takes
Mm,
one guy to take to a championship fight, and like you just mentioned, maybe have him for 5 years, many years, and
mm,
really show that that's your style and that's what you made, the champion that you made. I
yeah,
think there's timings, there's times and everything. I remember when Freddie Roach was the man because he had Manny Pacquiao, the
yeah.
only fighter that he trained for many years. If we go down the list against Robert Garcia, when
Mm,
and right now he has Mikey Garcia, but he's more known because he had Maidana back then. Also, remember when he fought Mayweather,
exactly.
and everybody started going to his stablemate. And now we have Canelo's trainer, Canelo Alvarez trainer, which is Eddie
Eddie,
Reynoso, I believe.
yes.
Everybody's jumping into that bandwagon. I heard Andy Ruiz going over there and training with him. So it's
Right.
basically, yeah, like how you mentioned. It's one fighter. You take one fighter to a championship, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden you're the best coach out there.
Yeah.
Virgil Hunter, against Andre Ward, same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, it's difficult to see. I was going to Sam, have you got a question? Any?
Yeah, man. Just another one, really. Just kind of, what do you make of the scene at the moment, and who's to watch out for?
I like this little dispute, little rivalry that's going around, and that's super lightweight division, or lightweight, I believe,
Yeah.
against David Haney, Tank Davis,
Yeah.
Ryan Garcia, like all these young kids. I
Roman
like that,
Lopez.
yeah, Tio Lofe. I can't wait for that fight against
Yeah.
Loma. That's gonna be a great fight, and I think Loma right now is in a different level than all these young kids, despite them coming out at the same time. I
Mm,
think Tio is definitely in another level right now. David Haney, obviously another great fighter. Tank, all these. I mean, I'm looking forward to the future of boxing. These are all great, talented fighters, and I'm just speaking in one division. That obviously there's other divisions where all these young talents are coming out, and I think the future is looking bright for boxing.
Yeah, no,
For sure. For
definitely.
sure. And lastly, just wanted to say, um, after this lockdown, do you think boxing will be the same?
I think it's going to take time for not just boxing, every sport, every company, everything out there. I think, honestly, a personal thought is that it's I feel that it's going to be years from now until people really start feeling safe. I think we're still going to see a lot of people wearing masks for the next maybe entire year, if
Mm,
not more. I could see arenas being empty and fights being made, in any other sport as well. But I think so. I think boxing is still well alive. We're on a good position. Like I said, I know there's a lot of smart fighters out there that are staying in shape and staying ready, because when all this is over, we want economy to go back up. So we want fights. We want to produce money. So the promoters are going to be waiting, to put on fights, big cards.
mm,
So you if you're a smart fighter, you want to be one of those guys that are ready and on the front line, to give a show. At the end of the day, we still have TV, and we can entertain fighters, based on that. And again, I want to be one of those. And I still believe that boxing is well. But like I said, I think the sports, any sports, is going to take a while for it to get back to normal.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, no, well said. And I think you're right. I think the adjustment in terms of people just forgetting about coronavirus is going to take a long time, whether it's gloves, whether it's standing close to each other, how you
Yeah.
touch people is shaking people's hands. It's all going to have an impact for a while. But what I did want to ask you though is, whilst we're on lockdown and as much as we're spending time with our loved ones and our kids, I'm sure you're still watching some boxing. So I just wanted to ask, are you watching any old fights, or are you watching up in any fighters, or maybe some of your old fights at all?
You know what? I'm catching myself watching old fights, back in the day fights. The other day I was watching, and the reason I was watching him is because we have a similar story. Um, 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 oh man, I blanked out. It's Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray
Sugar
Leonard.
Ray
Yeah.
Leonard, he had a detached retina. He was out
Yes.
for 2 years. And he came back and
Yes.
he fought Hagler for a world championship fight after 2 years, and he became a world champion. And
Yeah.
after that, I think he went on for 4 more years.
Mm,
So, and just reading that story, and a friend of mine told me, hey, Abner, what you're going through, this fighter went through it too. So it had me watching his fights, and man, I mean, I knew of the name. Obviously, I've seen one of a few of his, fights against top names,
mm,
but I never really sat down and studied a Sugar Ray Leonard
yeah.
until now. And oh my God, this guy was the real deal.
Yeah.
So I'm really watching him, studying him,
Mhm.
the great boxing abilities that he had, the fast hands, the super fast jab,
Mhm.
great movement. So yeah, I'm watching some old school.
Yeah, no, that's really good to hear. I was going to say, listen, we Abner, we really do appreciate your time with us this afternoon. Taking time out from the family and to kind of speak to our viewers. One thing we're asking all of our guests to do though is just
Yeah.
give some exercise tips. We know a lot of people are stuck in the house. Some don't
Hmm.
have gardens. Are there any exercises you could recommend that people could do in the house?
Exercise at house. Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah,
You ready for this one? Doing
ready.
chores at home, mopping the floor. You remember Karate Kid? When
Yeah,
the old man had him
Mr.
cleaning and
Miyagi.
all that.
You are
That's
Mr.
Mr.
Miyagi.
Miyagi. That's an exercise right there, brother. Tell me
Yeah,
about it. I'm a married man. I have kids, and my wife, hey, mop the floor.
yeah.
Do this, clean the windows. Like that's a workout, bro.
I was gonna say, even just holding the kids, right? Just holding the kids
Seriously,
sometimes.
doing laundry, walking to the laundry, coming back, like folding clothes. Oh
Yeah,
man.
no, really, I appreciate that. But yeah, listen, Abner, we just want to say thank you very much. Before we go, do
Thank you,
you want to
buddy.
shout out your social media, whether it's Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter?
Yes,
Really?
please. All my social media out there is just at Abner Mares, plain and simple. At Abner Mares Twitter, at Abner Mares Instagram, Abner Mares also Facebook.
Perfect.
But really simple. Keep it simple, guys.
Way to do it. Sam, I'll let you take the last word.
Brilliant, bro. Thank you. Big up to yourself, and I'm looking forward to your comeback. To your comeback.
Thank you, brother.
Hopefully, we can do this again with a few belts on your waist.
Really appreciate your words, brother. Thank you, guys. Thank you for
Appreciate
having me
it.
on. Sorry for the wait.
No worries.
And,
That was cool.
God bless you, man. Stay
Cheers.
safe.
Let's
Take
go.
care. Cheers. Thanks, Abner.